Welcome to episode 37 of The Graveyard Shift, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, usually one suggested by one of you fine folks, unless we wanted to see one of ours, which is what happened this week. And we break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. I am your host Sheldon, and I never worked a graveyard shift alone. Please say hello to the guy that wondered if the other members of the Fantastic Four were going to get their own standalone movie after he found out the title of this one, my co-host Mike.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing, Mike?
Oh, it's reviewing time.
Oh, it sure is. Just going to give you a heads up, Mike, and anyone listening, I am grossly unprepared for this episode. As in, I have not written a single thing down because I did fuck all this week. I didn't even watch this movie. Now, with that being said, I have watched this movie probably 7 or 8 other times, so I think I'm good in that regards. But as for anything else, no, I'm pretty much freeball in this one.
All right, so Sheldon's playing with a mic handicap.
Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty much you every week. So this is going to be fun. So now, was this the first time you saw this one?
First time in a long time. I think the last time I saw it was 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's, you definitely need a refresher. I saw this one the last time I saw it was probably about a year ago. So I think I'm pretty good. I should know this one pretty good. But since we've mentioned it a few times, how about you tell everyone what we've got for them this week?
Well, today's episode is That Thing You Do, Part 2, because we watched John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, we certainly did, from 1982. This, of course, is a remake of a movie we covered just a few weeks ago, The Thing from Another World from 1951. Director John Carpenter has always stated that this was one of his favorite movies. Pretty much the movie that got him into horror. He loved it so much that he actually put it into his, most people consider his most famous film, which is Halloween, of course. One of the scenes when Laurie Strode is babysitting, you can see The Thing from Another World on TV. That's what they're watching on Halloween night. So, nice little throwback there. I love it when directors do that and they give a little nod to their favorite movies. So,
we get to see that in this movie, too.
We do, yes, which is great. And, of course, we're going to do like we always do. Like I said, we're going to break it down to the good, the bad. We're going to talk about the plot, some production details, and pretty much anything else that we think is entertaining or relevant. And, Mike, so I'm just going to have to ask you because I'll give my opinion without going into many details because we will do that shortly. What do you think of this one?
I enjoyed it immensely.
You know what? I've kind of was on the fence about this question before, but I'm going to make my statement right here after, think about this movie again and how many times I watched it and how much I enjoy it. I'm going to say officially that this is my favorite horror movie ever. I'm going to give credit where it's due. Like, this, to me, is the perfect horror movie.
The suspense, the powerlessness, the paranoia.
Exactly. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, here's a little bit of info about The Thing. So, of course, The Thing from 1982 is a horror mystery sci-fi movie starring Kurt Russell and Keith David. Both are awesome. I'm going to talk more about them later. It's actually had like a decent cast. Not everybody is extremely well known, but people that you know well enough when you're watching this one, you recognize a lot of people.
Oh yeah, when I first heard his voice, I was just like, oh shit, it's the captain from Mass Effect.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
Damn it, Shepard, you gotta fight this alien.
Exactly. He has a very distinctive voice. Yeah, like I always love when I recognize. He does a lot of voice acting, Keith David, and I always love it when I recognize him. This one had a budget of $15 million And I gotta say, this made me very sad when I saw what the box office return was. So a budget of $15 million had a approximate U.S. box office return. What the hell? Fuckatash. It had an approximate box office return of $13.7 million.
Oh my god, it failed.
Did not make its budget back in the theater.
That's not fair. That's not right.
It is really not right. I don't think that is justice whatsoever, because, like I said, this may be my favorite horror movie of all time. Ask me again in about a month. I could have a different one, but right now, I'm going to say yes, it is. Not sure why. A lot of people said that they didn't like it because of the intense gore, which, if you say that, you're probably not a real horror fan.
Yeah, what are you doing listening to this show if gore offends you?
Yeah, no, you know what? I take that back. I don't want to say that.
I'm pretty sure we have someone who's been a guest on this show that's not a fan of gore.
Yeah, I take that back. I don't want to say that maybe you're not a real fan, because, I mean, horror can mean a lot of things to different people. Not everybody likes gore. I personally don't like movies that concentrate only on gore, that are just gore porn. I like a mix of everything, but this is the thing about this. While this one did have lots of gore, it had a nice mix of everything.
The gore was a part of the story rather than, oh, this is going to be sensational and fill seats, and like it was a part of the story rather than just a crutch for it.
The good news is, when it comes to home video rentals and sales, the movie has made much more than its budget back. So it's actually did pretty good. Its fan base definitely grew after it had left theaters. Once it became available on VHS and DVD, it's become much more popular. In fact, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a critic score of 83% and an audience score of 92%.
Yeah, finally, justice has been done.
So, yeah, its box office failings had nothing to do with what people actually thought of the movie, for sure.
Well, what were the reviews of it at the time? Do we have that?
That's a good question. I should have looked up what the reviews were like during its actual theatrical release. Yeah, the only thing that I saw was more recent reviews. Like, I see some from like the early 2000s. I'm actually looking it up right now.
Ooh, it got shit on. It says the film received negative reviews on release. Cinefantastique printed an issue with the thing on the cover asking, "Is this the most hated movie of all time?"
Wow.
The makeup special effects were lauded and lambasted simultaneously for being technically brilliant but visually repulsive. Roger Ebert called the film disappointing, though he said he found it scary and said it was a great barf bag movie. However, he criticized what he felt were poor characterizations and illogical plot elements, giving it 2.5 out of 4. Now it says here, John Carpenter said, "I take every failure hard. The one I took hardest was The Thing. My career would have been different if it had been a big hit. The movie was hated, even by sci-fi fans. They thought I betrayed some kind of trust. And the piling on was insane. Even Christian Nyby was dissing me." Oh my god.
That is, and in case anyone's wondering, Christian Nyby, or Nyby, or Nibwe, whatever, I really don't know how to pronounce his name. I've never heard anyone other than me or you, Mike, actually say his name before, so I don't know if we're saying it right. I keep calling Nyby, but I have no idea if that's correct.
Nyby, the horror guy.
He was the director of The Thing from Another World. At least he got credited for it. See our original that episode called "That Thing You Do" for more on that. But yeah, so even he was on board with this movie. He thought it was a great idea.
Oh my god, that even Nyby was dissing me. To think, oh my gosh. It says here, the New York Times, Vincent Canby called it a foolish, depressing, overproduced movie that mixes horror with science fiction to make something that is fun as neither one thing or the other. Sometimes it looks as if it aspired to be the quintessential moron movie of the 80s. And Time Magazine's Robert Schnickel wrote, designer Rob Botton's work is novel and unforgettable, but since it exists in a near vacuum emotionally, it becomes too domineering dramatically and something of an exercise in abstract art.
Wow.
Gosh,
So
this is sad.
I hate all of those critics. Go to hell, you fuckers. Because this movie's fantastic.
The guy from Newsweek just said, astonishingly, Carpenter blows it.
Ugh. You know what? Who's not getting blown? That guy. Anyway, as for the plot, a crew in Antarctica finds a neighboring camp destroyed and its crew dead. Whatever killed them is nowhere to be found unless it's hidden in plain sight.
Ooh, good description.
Not bad. So yes, this one, unlike The Thing from Another World, this one stuck much closer to the source material, the novel called Who Goes There. Got rid of the what we referred to last time as the alien carrot monster. This one did stick closer to the absorbing alien type of creature, which was good to see. Yeah, so this was much more enjoyable for me. I did like The Thing from Another World, and I totally give it credit for what it did. And I mean, this movie is basically the reason that we have the director that is John Carpenter. So you have to get it props, but goddamn, this movie is fantastic. I can't wait to start talking about it. So maybe
I think before we do, I think I solved the mystery as to why it tanked. Because when it was released, America was in the midst of a recession, so they wanted, like a positive movies to escape. And when it opened, guess what it was competing with? E.T.
Oh, fuck.
and Blade Runner.
Oh, well, yeah. Are you a fan of Blade Runner?
I haven't seen it in such a long time, but when I did see it, I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah, I liked it, but I found
it wasn't a shit movie, but it was just a movie to me.
I really liked it. No, I gotta say, I thought Blade Runner really well done. But where there's some movies that I can watch at any time, like this one, for instance, I can throw this movie on at any time and watch it and absolutely love it. I really have to be in the right mood to watch Blade Runner. It might sound a little weird, but that's just how I feel. Like I've got to be in that right mindset to enjoy it. And I've watched it sometimes and thought that, this movie is not as good as I remember. It's it's not doing anything for me. And I've watched it again, could be years later, and thought, oh, what was I thinking? No, this is a fantastic movie. So it really depends on how I'm feeling when I watch it.
You know what else came out that year? This is what it was competing with in that opening week. Like E.T. and Blade Runner. But what had just come out earlier that year, Conan the Barbarian, Poltergeist, The Road Warrior, Star Trek II, and Tron. So people had already spent their movie money by the time this came out.
Hey, yeah, that's a good point. Man, 82 was an awesome year for movies.
And it got an R rating, meaning only people over the age of 17 could see it. And even Kenneth Tobey, who appeared in The Thing from Another World, said the special effects were so explicit they destroyed how you were supposed to feel about the characters. They became a movie in themselves and were a little too horrifying.
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
It was just ahead of its time.
I totally agree. I disagree with all those people. And no, I'm glad to see that eventually it got the credit that it deserves. So, since, I've obviously got a boner for this one, let's start talking about it. We're going to start off with the good, the bad, and the little column that sometimes we use, not all the time, but sometimes there's a movie that just deserves a mention in this column, and we call it the what the fuck. That is the section that we put the things that totally confuse us, that we saw it, but we just can't believe what we saw. And when it comes to the good and the bad, that can be anything. It can be a general story, a specific scene, a specific character, even a specific line. It doesn't matter. This is where we get to be as broad or nitpick as much as we want. And as always, as been tradition on the show, we start the good with Mike. So Mike, tell me something good about this one.
Well, we get to see the UFO come in And just when it crashes into Earth, we get good credits burning in, just like the original, with the words "The Thing."
Yes, I loved that. That, like, besides being a remake, just that they actually paid tribute to the opening credits of The Thing from Another World. That was so good. Absolutely loved it. Just what a great nod to a great movie. So a lot of things had changed between these two movies, but I was glad to see that there was some nice little nods to the original, I guess. Okay, so this obviously isn't good, and even though I don't care what these critics said about it, the special effects in this thing, some of the best that I've ever seen in my life. These were fantastic. If you like nothing else about this movie, you could watch this movie just for the practical effects. It is a credit to special effects, special effects teams like anywhere in the movie industry. This was absolutely fantastic. I cannot believe that this is, foam rubber. It's like so real, so grotesque. The animatronics move so lifelike. It blows me away all the time. I'm always just in awe of what I'm looking at on the screen every time I've seen this movie. So, do you have any did you have any highlights when it comes to the special effects?
Well, weren't we? Wasn't the science teacher in The Thing? No, the science teacher from Stranger Things. Wasn't he watching The Thing with a date? And he was explaining what some of the props were, like saran wrap and Vaseline. And
yeah, pretty much.
well, as far as effects go, there's the exploding dog, which is definitely has got to be an influence for the Demogorgon.
Yeah, that's definitely one that stands out for sure.
And the head that detaches when they're burning that body on the table.
Yep, the turns
and
into
it's like fucking spider head.
Well, yeah, that's just something like the way they did that to show that this creature because we don't even know what the original creature looks like. Was it just like a blob of something, and did it actually have some its own kind of form? Because it can pretty much just change into what it needs on the fly, kind of. Hey, this is destroyed and I'm just a head now, a human head, so I'm going to sprout some eyeballs and some legs and just crawl away. And I guess
Skitter.
I guess I'll call that my second point in the good category. Just the alien itself. It's just us not knowing what the original looks like, what this alien's all about. In The Thing from Another World, we see what it is. It's just basically a space Frankenstein monster. But this is so much scarier because we don't even know what it is. All that we get to see of it is these Cronenberg-esque type creatures that it mutates into. We were seeing it midway into shapeshifting, or it just turns into something that's just a mass of putridness. I don't know what else to call it. So that is my second good thing. Just the alien creature itself, that mystery about it, I guess, makes it amps up the intensity, the scare factor. I think that was a great decision, us not seeing its actual form.
Well, the fact is, did we ever actually get to see the thing? Because we find that burned out blob thing, and it turns out this thing doesn't really shapeshift so much as it's like a big massive infection.
Mm.
So it apparently just grabs or infects things. So even if the original thing is probably what we saw that was all burned up and being examined on the slab.
Well,
Because we see we see that thing at the base. It's definitely a thing. I mean, there's several instances of this thing. They keep destroying it. So it's not it's shapeshifting. It's just that other things original things are being infected.
yeah. I don't know. I thought that it kind of, it is an infection, like it infects things, but like also it kind of, I always called it a shapeshifter because it seems like it can take,
Well, it can, except we never did.
we did though. It wasn't like when we see the dog at the beginning, isn't it like, in the form of the dog now?
Yeah, but then, like, didn't they kill it? And then something else was infected. I mean, it's never like that dog was, like, the only thing there.
Yeah.
Because they ended up showing other things on the slab, and they kept killing that guy that was tied up in the chair, and then he bit into a guy, and then that guy started, like, opening up like a flower, and... So it's like an infection that turns people into things rather than it turning into people, it turns people into it.
I've never really thought of it that way. Interesting. You're making me think of this now in a different way. I just assumed that like it was, we kind of see these masses of like, a compilation, for lack of a better word, of a lot of different stuff sometimes, because I think we see like some, like at one point we see almost kind of like a hybrid of like a mass of like human parts and dog parts and things.
Yeah, so it's like, well, whenever it seems to jump from one host to another, it carries all of its recombinant DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So then it just decides, I am a human, but what if I was a human with a dog on my shoulder?
Yeah.
It's like this thing... It's like this thing is, like, curious about what it can do. Like, it doesn't even know everything it can do. So it's just trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
And poorly.
Yeah, what I thought is that, like, it kind of it touches something organic, it absorbs it. Not like it infects it, but it actually absorbs it into itself. And we did confirm, which is another cool thing that, like, going back to like having the alien itself as a good thing, is that it's more than just the sum of its parts. Like, because you could actually cut a part of it off, and this part is still like
its own separate thing.
Its own separate thing, still part of a collective, but still its own separate thing.
Yeah, because the dog made it to the American base, but they still found that burnt up clump.
Yeah.
At the Swedish base.
It's like,
so like I said, it's not one thing.
If I was in some kind of horrible accident, like a car crash, and every part of my body was destroyed except like my leg could detach itself and go run off somewhere and turn into like another me or a different animal if it wanted to.
Yeah, it just grows grows a new Sheldon on the leg.
Yeah. It's kind of like the lizard losing its tail, but instead of like, the lizard just growing back a new tail, the tail now actually turns into another lizard.
Yeah, so then you got two lizards.
Yeah, or the lizard turns into a spider. But it's still
yeah, the lizard just thought, you know
lizard, what? I don't know, it's weird. This is not, like I said...
I want more legs.
And I've actually heard people that watch this movie and said, like, one of the things they didn't like about it is that you don't know what the alien is. You never really see it. And I'm like, no, to me, that just makes this whole thing so much scarier and more intense and just that much better.
It's like an octopus made of veins.
Yeah, pretty much. It's, yeah.
So,
it's like...
I guess for my second like, I just wrote down, Kurt Russell is no Gary Kasparov. Because we see him playing chess with the computer and being a bad sport about it when the computer beats him.
Yeah. Oh, God. So... You imagine you're going to the Antarctic, and I like this part too because I heard somebody I don't know who it was, but someone made this joke before. The Thing from Another World and The Thing, they're polar opposites because they literally do take places in, like, one takes place in the North Pole and one takes place in the South Pole. Because,
what?
Yeah, because...
It wasn't an Arctic base, but an Antarctic base?
Exactly, yes.
When did they mention that?
It's mentioned somewhere along the way. I don't know. It's said somewhere. I know that. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint exactly when this comes up. But yeah, this one takes place in Antarctica.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, it would make sense for Swedish and American bases to be up there to look out for Soviet incoming missiles to an actual country. But to have them, like, the Swedes and the Americans just Yeah, we're sitting here in the ass end of the world with no chance of any missiles or monitoring. Like, what the heck would they be studying off in friggin' Penguin Land?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because, like, well, wherever they are, like, having like a, and I just like such an '80s thing. You got this huge like computer. This thing is like 2 feet high and like 2 feet across, and it's just has one function: to play chess. And yeah, everybody like seems so tense. Like everybody's obviously going through like a little bit of cabin fever. And it just reminds me of something that I heard somebody say once about these like Arctic or Antarctic expeditions. These guys are cut off from everything for, could be months at a time. And basically the supply drops that they have, like, or not supply drops, but what they're left with. Apparently with all the things you need, lots of food and water, all like the basic necessities. Apparently they just stack them with like just tons and tons of condoms as well. Because basically, like, when they're not working, all they do is fuck all the time.
Oh my god, you think they'd have a token girl in there like the original.
Oh my god. Hey, like, I guess, I know, like, for two straight guys, it's like a weird way of thinking, but not everybody needs a girl around to have a good time,
Now don't go look at me like that, McCready. You know full well it's your turn.
Okay, let's. Whose turn is it to wear the dress?
All right, the radio guy's got the wig this week.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny when I read that. Or, I don't know if I read it or heard somebody told me that, but I just like, you know what? I laughed because that's funny, but then I'm thinking about like, yeah, absolutely, they should. Like, what the hell else are you going to be doing up there? Especially like, obviously now, like you'd have a lot more things you could keep you entertained. But you imagine it was like the '70s, early '80s. Not everybody has their gigantic chess computer to keep them occupied.
Just think, if only they filmed this like 7 years later, he'd have a Game Boy.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. So it's the first thing I thought of when you said that about the computer. It's like he couldn't even keep that going. He had to beat the crap out of it because he just got so frustrated.
He called it like a cheating bitch.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait a second, weren't you a computer that wore tennis shoes? You should have some sympathy for this thing.
My God, he was, yeah. Wow, that's going way, way back.
I know. Would that be fratricide?
Would that be what?
Fratricide? Since he was supposed to be a computer.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay, so what's your second like?
My second? Are we on like our fourth or something now?
No, we dwelled for a while.
Okay. It's going to be one of those episodes. But, yeah, well, since you mentioned him, she's Kurt Russell. Anything with Kurt Russell in, man, I'm pretty much going to like it.
I know, he was fantastic in in Guardians of the Galaxy, too.
Oh, he playing Star-Lord's father, Ego?
Yeah, as soon as he said his name, I'm just like, he's pretty small for a living planet.
Yeah. But, yeah, I've always been a fan of Kurt Russell, man. He has always been one of my favorites, even if he plays almost the same... He's one of these people that almost plays the same character. No matter what role he's playing, he's pretty much... He's playing Kurt Russell. But still, there's a few actors that can pull it off. They're fine by doing that, and he is definitely one of them. He's... just one of these guys, like one of the original tough guys. He's got sarcastic wit, type of guy to succeed despite idiocy, almost. I just love that type of character. Kurt Russell is just the man. And since we're talking about Kurt Russell, I'm going to talk. We already mentioned too. I'll just throw this out there on my good list. Keith David. I'm trying to think of his name. But yeah, we already mentioned him, and it's just like him too. Like whatever he's in, he's like, this guy is awesome.
Yeah, I just got a question. Does Keith David always play a negative asshole who refuses to cooperate with the protagonist?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because, I'm still. I was just imagining by the end that Kurt Russell's trying to get him to put on some sunglasses, and he's like, "You get that out of my face. I'll beat the shit out of you, cracker."
Yeah. So, just those two together was just like, what a casting choice that was. Love that. And I'll mention afterwards, but just going to the ending, like that, just to have both of these guys being like the last men standing.
Oh yeah, I was expecting like a drawn out again like a They Live style beatdown where it's just like, okay, well, one of us is gonna beat the shit out of the other, and if one of us explodes into tentacles, then we'll know.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And if not, then we're not going anywhere.
Was Keith David on? He plays the president on Rick and Morty, right?
Yes.
Yeah. First time I heard him was in the Swifty episode.
This is no time for getting swifty, General. That's not a thing, Mr. President. The head begs to differ.
Yeah. So he's a man. I like both these guys. Like two of my favorite actors in the same movie was just couldn't gotten any better for me. So there you go. I'll just say the cast itself. Like that'll be my my good point. Just the cast itself was. I think everyone did a fantastic job, and once again, screw those critics that like actually complained about the cast. They were great. Okay, so what else you got? What do you got for the good?
Again, love the. I have to say it again. Excellent props and effects. But also, I love the sense of foreboding that we saw when they got to the Norwegian base.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they got there, you immediately can tell, oh, fuck, something went wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong as fuck. And, like they see the destruction, the devastation, bodies. Like, it just went bad and worse. It was great silent storytelling. Yeah,
that's for sure. Very, very intense, ominous scene. You really didn't know. Like, first time seeing this movie, and I was pretty young first time I saw it, but it's the type of scene when you thought something was going to. You definitely thought somebody was going to die right then and there, like something was going to pop out and grab them or something. Like that's where you think something
was left.
You really would think if your first time watching this one, you really think this is where you're going to get a jump scare somewhere along the lines. But no, not the case.
But what you do get is video footage of, once again, exploding thermite and people standing on the ice in a circle. So you get to see the Norwegian team. They basically lived out the same life as the original 50s crew did. Standing in a circle, blowing the fuck out of a UFO with improper thermite usage. And it was good nods to the original thing.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, going back to like I said about the credits, like a nice little love tap to the little bit of affection shown for the original, and it really makes me smile every time I see that, like saying like, hey, like they actually like shown this from the first one.
And again, it doesn't really answer the question, what was the purpose of the thing in the first place? Like, it's not smart in as much, like, it doesn't communicate with anybody. It never seems to express, like, it never tries to communicate with anyone, reason with anything, or, you know, give any ominous threats like, I came here, like, there's lots of us, we've come to soften you up. Again, this gives me the same vibe as we did in the original, that this thing wasn't necessarily the pilot, but more like living cargo or a living warhead.
Yeah.
And a delivery system from a completely different looking alien who just sent this to soften us up.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but the thing was, in this one, like, it actually tried to rebuild another spaceship.
It did. Although, like having no communication was still... Like, you think it would have talked or threatened somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, not... It's weird because this one trying to build another spaceship seemed to, like, give us a gleam more intelligence than the alien version in the Thing from Another World.
We don't even know if it was, like... It was probably building parts out of the spaceship because it knows what they are. But it seemed like it was too small to actually, like, take it into space and, carry enough oxygen or have a bathroom. So I think it was meant to be like a planet-wide craft rather than a spacecraft. Because it just wanted to get to a city to infect people, like a large population. So it didn't need, like, spacefaring jets or a pressurized dome. It just needed something that would fly it to a city. Because it did not look space-worthy.
No. It looked like something I would put together from, like, some scrap wood and metal and everything that I found, like, laying around. I'm going to assemble this to vaguely resemble a UFO. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, you're right, like, even that, though, even if it's not, like, spacefaring, it seems that, like, that seems like a lot of intelligence for something that almost seems like a mindless creature, like an animal, more animalistic when it attacks people, when it absorbs people, than, like, something that's sophisticated enough to build any type of vehicle.
Yeah, there just seems to be, like, lacking some baseline consistency with its intelligence. Like, something that cunning enough to assemble an aircraft, not even a spacecraft, but just an aircraft, should be able to, appreciate morphing in solitude and avoiding being caught.
Yeah.
Like, even animals know how to, like, do shit in private.
Right. Yeah, so, yeah, it was weird. And once again, that's kind of... makes you think about it. I don't want to call it a bad thing. I kind of just, I would chalk it up to a good thing because it makes you really wonder what's going on. It adds, like, some more mystery to the alien itself. But yeah, and, so, for the good, like, this whole movie is good for me. I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about for the bad, to be quite honest. But, for the good, just... some of the one-liners in this, I'd rather not spend the rest of my fucking life tied to this fucking couch. There's a lot of fucks in this movie. Not the most brilliant dialogue ever, but still. And just like at the end, Kurt Russell, final show off with the final showdown. Final show off? What the fuck's wrong with me? The final showdown, and the Thing, like, in this big grotesque mask, just like kind of roaring, and he just says, "Yeah, well, fuck you too," for throwing a stick of dynamite down its throat. It just such a simpler time, the 80s.
You know what I just did find out who was in this movie? As Blair, Wilford Brimley.
Yeah.
Mr.
The doctor,
Diabetes. Right? Was the doctor Blair? I thought the doctor's name was something else.
Oh, right. No, well, they called him Doctor, but, yeah, Dr. Blair.
Oh, so he was the guy that was playing around with that computer. That beautiful computer, which was my final like. Which was, like, the best pixelated data compilation that Atari could provide. The fact that, like, he's looking at that and it's just, like, a big, scrambled, faded-out triangle absorbing another triangle like he's playing asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
and like there it's just typing out like data assimilate, like viral biological assimilation complete. And I was just like, there's like no computer would be like that helpful.
Yeah, that was way beyond anything any type of computer's capabilities in 1982. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it was good exposition for the audience to be like, oh, yep, so this guy is... Like, it explains why he attacks all the shit to stop everyone from leaving, because he doesn't want the virus to spread. He's taken one for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So he is, like, as a character, he's a pretty good character. How did the doctor die again? Did he just... Yeah, he was doing CPR... Doing the defibrillator.
Yeah, that wasn't Wilford Brimley though. That was the actual. Well, I guess they called Wilford Brimley's character Dr. Blair because I guess like he's a scientist. But the Dr. Cooper was actually the medical doctor.
Yeah, and he was the guy that was running the simulation on the computer.
Yes. So
who the fuck was Wilford Brimley?
He was the one that keep saying he was the last. Like remember at the end when they locked him in his cabin, and that's where he discovered the UFO. Like he had actually had a tunnel dug underneath his cabin, and that's where he was constructing the UFO.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember who exactly that was. Like I remember the name Blair, but barely what he looked like.
Yeah, trust me, he doesn't look like the way Wilford Brimley looks now, and he didn't mention diabetes once.
or delicious Quaker oatmeal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you know what he did do? I can't believe this. He spoke at a 1998 Phoenix rally opposing a ban to cockfighting. And he argued a ban could lead to the efforts to restrict the use of hunting dogs. So he is pro-cockfighting.
Well, fuck that guy and his oatmeal. I hope he gets diabetes.
He wants to see roosters tear each other apart for people's pleasure.
What the hell's wrong with people? Jesus.
I know, it's like the old generation's fucked.
Diabetes. Yeah, so now that you've mentioned it, I want to talk about that scene. Holy shit. Dr. Cooper.
Oh. All right, 3, 2, 1, clear my fucking hands from these lungs. Ah!
Christ, that was awesome. And just showing like this morphing ability of the creature once it assimilates someone, just like it can basically turn itself into whatever fucking kind of monster it wants to. Just when he puts the paddles on it and his hands crash through the guy's chest, and all of a sudden teeth just pop out of nowhere and bite his arms off.
His chest becomes teeth.
Yes. Oh,
and so the hands bitten right the fuck off. That was, oh my gosh. And then they just and then Kurt Russell just like, well, I'm going to incinerate him. And now his head is walking away. Mm-hmm. His fucking head is walking away.
Yeah, and then just the response of when they see that is like, they just saw like a guy's chest turn into a mouth and bite their doctor's arms off. But then they're still in disbelief when they see the head walking away with spider legs.
The cook is just like, you gotta be fucking me. Yeah. What happened to that cook? The black cook. Did we get to see his death?
We didn't see his death, but like he was, because it gets to the end where it's just Kurt Russell and Keith David and the cook, and he gets pulled down when the floor splits apart when they're in that last area where they think where they have the final showdown with the thing.
And then the floorboards start shuffling like Bugs Bunny making his way to Albuquerque.
Exactly. Like, doesn't he fall into the pit it opens up or something? We just assume that the thing just gets him.
I gotta say, for a black guy, he really made it through to the end.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, come on, we've seen horror movies. We know how this goes.
True, yeah. Especially in the 80s.
So, I gotta say, John Carpenter was pretty progressive in keeping the brother alive to the end.
True story. I mean, black guys did not... The odds were against them in horror movies in the 80s, that's for sure.
And if you don't believe me, just ask Carl Weathers and how he felt in Predator.
Hey, Jesus, yeah. Well, I mean, come on. When you watch Predator, did you think that there was any chance that anybody other than Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to survive? Come on, really?
Not even Jesse Ventura made it out alive in that.
What's that? No, I mean, he was one of the first guys to get got.
Oh, we need to... That's definitely got to be on our list.
Oh, it's been suggested. That's coming up, for sure. But yeah, so... Do you have anything else to add to your good list?
Spiderhead.
Yeah, to
go near it and you will be dead.
Yeah, I would love to find some kind of like remote control like animatronic of that head, just so I can make it walk around my house.
Oh, and like just make the mouth flap open and.
Even if it doesn't make any sound, just if I could just make it walk around on its like little spider legs, that would be awesome.
Then you would mount a speaker in it that plays that sound.
And so, yeah, that was so good. That was probably the highlight of the movie for me, that one scene. But the only thing I want to leave on the good list, and again, I've talked to other people that watched this movie, and they said that they didn't like this part, and I loved it. That ending that you don't know if it's an ending or not.
Yeah, you don't know. Did they get it, or is it one of the two people?
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, maybe even McCready was the one that got.
Yeah. Now, we don't know if he could be the creature, and like they're basically, they know that they're dead. They're just waiting there to freeze to death. Help is not coming. They've got no shelter left.
Yeah, but if you're the Thing, that doesn't matter, because then you just have to hibernate.
Yeah, like,
until the rescue team comes.
We've already established that it can survive freezing, so like that's not going to be that open. This doesn't sound right, but an open-ended ending. That's.
Yep.
Now somebody, I really should have watched it again, because since the last time I saw this movie, somebody said. McCready knows that I can't remember what Keith. What was his name? Keith Diamond. I was going to say
Keith David.
Keith David. I almost said Keith Richards, and that's definitely not right.
His name was Childs.
Childs, yes. That McCready knows that that's the alien because he offers him a drink. And the drink is actually not booze, it's gasoline, because it's in a bottle of one of the Molotov cocktails that he made. Now, if you're an alien, you're not going to notice this, and it probably wouldn't even hurt you if you do drink it.
Huh.
But like I have to verify that. If that's the case, I've never noticed it before. And somebody just talking to some people online, and having a little discussion about this movie, and somebody mentioned that, and I said I'm going to have to check that out again next time I watch this movie. And it's pretty safe to say that I will be watching this movie again. I'm going to have to pay special attention to that, because I didn't notice that. I can't say if that's a thing or not. I don't remember him making Molotov cocktails or anything like that, so I can't verify.
Why waste time with Molotov cocktails? You've got dynamite sticks.
Yeah, but okay, blowing it up with dynamite, would that actually kill it? I mean, we've already established that you can cut it to pieces, and these pieces are still going to be part of the collective, separate but still part of the collective. So we're blowing it up.
You would have to hope that the heat from the initial explosion would be enough to kill it before or render those pieces inert.
Yeah, I don't think it would do it. Like, that's, things get blown up, and it's not going to be incinerated or even singed. So, I don't know. I don't think that would do it. I think that was a bad idea. They should have they knew burning worked. I would have stuck with that.
Yeah, well, I guess they kept wasting all that kerosene burning everything else.
I guess so. But yeah, I could probably think of lots of other things. Geez, there's so many just specific scenes in this movie. Like the couch scene, that was fucking fantastic as well. All the gore in it.
Oh, and that guy's like, Rrr! And I was like, get on, fucking untie me.
Yes, you still got like these other three assholes still talking to.
And Kurt Russell's just early with his fucking defective flamethrower.
Yeah, that's when the flamethrower decides not to work. But Yeah, like it just I could go through every particular scene. The gore in it is fantastic, like so nasty looking. Like there's some of the gloppiest gore you're ever going to see is in this movie. Just so good, but we're burning through time very quickly, so let's talk about the bad.
I've only got one that we didn't go over already. The second one would be like, why is Keith David a disagreeable asshole in every movie I've seen him in?
Yeah.
And like, if he just cooperated with the hero, things would get done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And there'd probably be a few more people alive. But aside from that, my only other bad is, if you speak Norwegian, spoiler alert. Because if you speak Norwegian, you know what's going on in the movie right away. Like, half this movie's already been spoiled for you because he's saying it's the fucking dog. The dog isn't real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. You told me that. I think that's what if you translate it, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, the dog's an alien. Like, don't trust it. It's not a dog.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that scene as well. Like at the beginning of this, when they're chasing down, the dog, they're shooting at it from the helicopter. They're freaking out. I mean, you can tell that especially when they get out of the helicopter, you can tell they're visibly scared of this dog. That they want that dog dead more than they are like petrified.
More than they care to know how to fly a helicopter.
So, and I'm sorry, like, I fucking love animals, but if I see it happen, I'm not just going to assume that these are some assholes doing like this for sport or for fun. That something is up and they're trying to kill this dog for like a purpose. There is something wrong here.
Maybe it cheated them at poker. Who knows?
Jesus. Come on, that's stupid. We all know dogs only play poker with other dogs. Don't be stupid. But yeah, I think they took it like... I know they were obviously confused, but it almost seems like they were like, hey, these guys just want to kill this dog, so they're a bunch of assholes. And I know they return fire because, they're shooting the place up and they're probably going to end up killing someone.
Well, they did clip one guy. They shot one guy in the leg.
Yeah, that's right. But
I mean, if you're screaming and bringing googly talk and opening fire at me, what else do you expect besides catching some lead in the eye?
Mm-hmm.
And plus, with those friggin' slit glasses, he looked like Captain Cold from The Flash.
He did, yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna let you live to tell Captain Boomerang where I live.
Yeah, he was old school Captain Cold, that's for sure. Oh my god. So, yeah, that whole opening scene was like a total clusterfuck. But one of the things that I'm going to put on the bad list, even though I love this scene, and I'm going to go back again to the couch scene when we find out when they're going through the test. Like, it's an intense scene. They're going through the blood samples, and I'm going to say the first time that when he put the hot wire into the petri dish of blood of the infected guy, and it fucking pops up, scared the fucking shit out of me. I'm pretty sure I left like a good like little rosebud on my shorts the first time I saw this. And I love it watching this movie with somebody for the first time, too, when you get to that scene when it pops, because everybody jumps at that. Like, that came out of nowhere. So good. The fucking blood, like, all of a sudden turns into Jell-O and stands up straight and screams. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's got, like, spire. It turns into, like, spires. Like, again, like, fucking veins all over the place.
Yeah. And that's when the infected guy knows, like, the gig is up, and he just, like, starts to melt. But...
he starts like shaking,
which
and
is
shaking.
A great scene. Like, I love that. Oh my god, such a scary, intense scene. But
if I was Kurt, I would have just been like pop, pop with the flamethrower. Then, like, as soon as I realized, okay, the flamethrower was no go for now, I'm going to untie my guys and get them away from this thing first.
Yeah.
But no, he's standing there like a goof, and then the guy with the working flamethrower waits until it stands up and turns on him, and then bites his fucking shoulders.
Yeah,
and head. Like, that guy deserved to die on grounds of stupidity.
That's a bad thing about the scene, that horror movie trope where, I'm sorry, the responses people have to a situation like this is fight or flight. people in horror movies and lots of times don't try either one. They stand there and in bewilderment just to be killed.
Yeah, I'm fodder.
Like, as soon as that happened, as soon as that blood popped, I'm sorry, I'm like, yep, I'm out of here. I will run back to I will run back to a civilized country area, city, the nearest city, whatever, because fuck this.
Yeah, I will swim to fucking Australia if I have to.
Yeah. Oh, I would turn into the Roadrunner so fast, my legs would just be like a swirling circle.
You just see a Sheldon-shaped hole in the wall.
Yep. And like a smoke trail across the snow. That's all you would see. I would like dive into the snow. I would turn to Bugs Bunny. All you see is like a little burrowing tunnel through the snow. But anyway, yeah, you got
then a stream of bubbles once you leave the iceberg.
You got this horror movie trope of someone just standing there like, oh,
what am I going to do? I'm going to stand here and get ate.
Yeah, exactly. That sucked. And then you see the alien do something that you never see it do it again, because apparently it becomes weightless and sticks to the ceiling. Like, didn't jump up and grab onto the ceiling, just all of a sudden went, whoop, just floated up there, like, all of a sudden it's filled with helium.
Yeah, like, again, the inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea what the hell this thing really wants to do, and it looks like neither does it.
Yeah, like, we have no idea what its plan is at this point.
You think once it realized the jig was up, if it had any sense of sentience and awareness, it would have shot out of a window. Mm-hmm. But no, it stays there waiting to be burned, like, as if it thinks it seems to have, like, the same instinct as that asshole that got eaten with the flamethrower. Like, I'm gonna stand here and scream, and somehow this will produce positive results for me, rather than being incinerated by a guy who's still trying to get his flamethrower working.
Yeah. And why didn't it go right away for the guys, like, next to it that's tied up? If its whole thing is try to assimilate, like, everybody there.
You think it would go for the easiest prey, like a predator would.
Why didn't it just, like, just jump right on those guys right away?
Yeah, that would have been great. Like, if it just wrapped around all three of them, like, spread across them like butter on toast. And then Kurt Russell, by the time he gets the flamethrower working, now he's got 4 assholes to deal with.
Yep.
And one of them has a flamethrower.
Yep. So that, like, it's just, even though I always found that a great scene, love that scene, it's just that a couple of things always makes me go, huh, every time I watch it.
And to that end, it's time for What the Fuck?
Yeah, I kind of debated whether or not I was going to have anything for What the Fuck. I didn't know whether or not to put the whole reverse gravity alien on there. Like, if all of a sudden it remembered that it could, like, stick to the ceiling or something. But no, I decided to go with, I don't know if I had anything for What the Fuck with this one. I'm
with
sure
me,
you did.
My first one is,
Your first
why
one?
why does Copper, a man old enough to be a World War II vet, have a nose ring in 1980?
Oh my god, yes. Because he's a badass, that's why.
Because he can beat the shit out of anybody who asks about the nose ring.
Yeah, his name is Copper. I was calling him Cooper for some reason.
Yep, and then I guess the last what the fuck would be, like, was it a shapeshifter or just like a viral colony? Because, again, like, if it can infect numerous people, then it's not like a singular thing. Mm-hmm. Every infected person becomes like a host for it. But, we've already discussed the hell out of that those things turning into Cronenbergs.
Yep.
And, that's it for my what the fucks.
Yeah, that's I didn't have anything like, I agree with what you said. Like, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because now I totally remember, like, the doctor having a nose ring, which, like, an old dude in 1982 with a nose ring. That's, how fucking often did you see that? But yeah, okay, I totally agree. Good one. The other one, the only thing I was thinking of mentioning, other than the, all of a sudden reverse gravity alien, was the computer simulation. Because Is that something you would have in your like medical bay at like a research, like a kind of hastily thrown together research post in the Antarctic?
Yeah. We just have like a big block of IBM computers that can either play chess or do apocalyptic scenario viral outbreak algorithms.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe that is something that we would have had, but it just seemed like an odd thing to me. It just kind of stood out. Did they even have the technology to do that in 1982? Like, I know,
Maybe.
like it looked like pretty dated graphics and everything, but still, like at that time, that would have been something to come up with, like such a
Ooh.
visual representation of what's happening with, like at a molecular level.
Shit, maybe that's the whole reason the base was there. In the Arctic, it could have been found by, Inuit who were, doing hunting or something. Or, polar bears might wreck your shit and cause a viral outbreak, but maybe they were doing apocalyptic viral tests
Ooh, maybe.
in the Antarctic, and that's why they needed a place with complete isolation.
Maybe.
It would explain why the computer was equipped with that software.
True.
I love this. We should make a new section for our show called Theory Time.
Oh God. So that honestly, I can't say enough of good things about this movie. If 80s movies are your thing, horror movies, then this is one of the top ones I would suggest. I'm just gonna say it like, yeah, this is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. I could watch this one over and over again, and I have. So there you go. Yeah, like it just it amazes me that somebody like John Carpenter, like, what a talent to, he had it was only a few short years before this that he established himself as like such a talented director with Halloween, and then to decide that 3 years later, I'm going to remake one of my favorite movies, one of the biggest influences on my career, and turn it into something like this.
And it says that they began developing in the mid 70s when it was pitched to Universal Pictures, and then Carpenter was first approached in 1976, but he was an independent film director, and Universal chose Tobe Hooper, who they had under contract.
What?
So yeah, like it took a while. Like, he didn't jump at the chance apparently.
Wow, okay, that really changes everything.
It says that a man named Wilbur Stark had purchased the remake rights to 23 of RKO's pictures, including A Thing from Another World, from 3 Wall Street financiers who didn't know what to do with them. And then Carpenter was first approached in 1976 by co-producer and friend Stuart Cohen, but Carpenter was mainly an independent film director, and Universal chose Tobe Hooper as they had him under contract, but the producers were ultimately unhappy with the concept by Hooper and his writing partner after several failed pitches by different writers and attempts to bring on different directors, including John Landis.
Wow.
And then
okay.
Carpenter was initially reluctant to join the project, citing a fear of trying to follow Hawk's adaptation, which he felt featured a stylistic approach that would be difficult to surpass, although he did consider the film's monster to be unnotable. And that's when they had him read the original novel. And that's when he, who was a fan of Hawk's adaptation... Yeah, Carpenter compared the novella to Agatha Christie's novel And Then There Were None, and noted that Who Goes There was timely for him, meaning he could make it true to his day as Hawks had in his time. So he had to read the original novel before deciding to go through with this.
That's amazing. I thought because, like, I've heard about how big of a fan he was, and like I said, he put it in his first big movie, Halloween. So, like, I just thought that this would be just a cinch for him. This would be a project that he would want to jump right on.
And again, when they secured the writer and the crew, the project was once again stalled when Carpenter nearly quit, believing that a personal passion project of his, El Diablo, was on the verge of being made by EMI Films. The El Diablo project was not as imminent as Carpenter believed, so he remained with The Thing. So this guy, you could not have... It took miracles, multiple miracles, to keep this guy near it. Despite the fact that he did clearly love the movie, he wanted fuck all to do with remaking it.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising, especially when we consider something we discovered. Guys, you know what we do. We like to put lots of effort into our episodes. We do a lot of research, and we always like to come up with something. Find something for you guys that you've never heard of before, something exclusive. And we didn't find any deleted scenes, surprisingly. I thought for sure, especially, the 80s, there's a lot of deleted scenes from movies in the 80s, especially horror movies. We thought we could find a deleted scene maybe if we looked around, but our connections didn't come up with anything except very similar to what we found for when we covered The Thing from Another World. We found some audio from the set. Apparently, even after a scene cuts, sometimes cameras are still rolling and the audio is still picking up some stuff. We actually found some audio where the original director, Christopher Nyby, once again, I don't know what his name is.
Christian Nyby.
We're going to call him Nyby. Came to the set to actually visit John Carpenter to, see how things were going. He was pretty stoked that his movie was getting remade. And we got that for you tonight, and we thought it would make a great segment for It Came from the Cutting Room Floor. And cut! Great job, everyone! Okay, break for 20, and then on to the next scene.
Hello, Mr. Carpenter.
Oh my god, sir! It's an honor!
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, son. I'm very happy that the remake of The Thing from Another World is in such capable hands.
Wow, I can't believe this. That really means a lot to me. You, after all, you're one of my favorite directors. And The Thing from Another World is one of my favorite movies, despite its flaws.
Why, thank you, my boy. Flaws, you say? What flaws?
Well, nothing serious. It's a great movie, one of the best. I just thought I could tweak it just a little to make it even better.
Tweak? What does that mean?
Just tiny changes. For the title, for instance, we're just calling it The Thing.
Well, what's wrong with the original title?
Well, it's a bit long, isn't it?
Well, The Thing from Another World lets people know what the movie's about.
Is that what we want, though? I mean, The Thing sounds so ominous and monstrous, scary. And since you didn't use the title from the novel, well, then we had to use at least part of it, part of your title, so that people would know that they're connected.
Well, I guess the title isn't a big deal.
And now we can make the alien the way it was in a novel as well.
Oh, yeah. I always thought that...
Yeah, that hulking space carrot monster. I mean, seriously, you did a great job, but what was that? I'm not sure why you thought that was a better idea than a shape-shifting, absorbing mass.
Well, actually, I wanted that, but
the source material was laid out right there for you to follow. I'm sure you could have pulled it off.
I was going to, but Hawks came by the set one day and...
Howard Hawks was on the set? He's a legend. Why didn't you ask him for help? I'm sure he could have found a way to make it work. That guy was a master.
You listen to me, you little shit. I was going to stick to the source material until Hawks got his fingers on the project and made all those changes. He made the decision to make it a Frankenplant monster, not me. He called the shots from the second scene we shot and wouldn't have it any other way. It was all his doing, you understand me?
Okay. So, what you're saying is that Hawks actually directed The Thing from Another World. Oh my god, wow, what a director! Truly, he is a master. You okay?
Wow.
Yeah, man. Nibby can't catch a break, can he?
No.
Yeah, that's, the poor guy gets burned on both ends. He gets-
I guess he was facing some Christian persecution.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm not going to, because this will be a whole different type of podcast if I gotta start giving my thoughts on that. Well, Mike, dude, sometimes I can pretty much guess what you're going to do, but this time around, I have no idea. You've got lots to choose from, and I know anything you pick is going to be fantastic because they were all great, but lay it on me. What do you got?
Well, I do have quite a bit of selection for this week's Kill of the Week. And, we mentioned the guy getting eaten despite the fact that he had a flamethrower. He somehow decided, I'm going to stand there and get eaten because I'm a dum-dum. And then we had the dogs that got wrapped around with veins and shit in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then so many other things. But I guess the best kill goes to the poor doctor who, after finally being untied and being told, like, listen, we're going to cooperate. I'm just trying to save everybody. I'm going to give this guy some defibrillator, and then we're going to talk. And then, oh fuck, his chest caved in like a dry turkey and then ate my goddamn hands.
And then he gets flamethrowed.
Ugh. And then that, in this scene, a fucking spider head. Like, everything about this scene was just an absolute shock and a sustained shock. So, I mean, what a damn way to go. You get friggin' incinerated after getting your hands bitten off by a chest.
Yeah. I know. That's a weird sentence to say. How'd you die? Well, I got my hands bitten off by a chest. No, good one.
I was giving a guy CPR, and apparently it backfired.
Yep. No, good one. Probably would have been my pick, too, because that scene is just one of the greatest scenes ever, and absolutely grotesque. Just a testament to good practical effects. So, absolutely, I agree. Good choice. So, guys, that is it. That is our coverage of The Thing. And we want to know what you thought. Agree with what we had to say? Totally disagree? Have any other questions, comments, concerns? Suggestions for other movies? Whatever the case is, we want to hear from you. You got a few ways of reaching us. You can do it the old-fashioned way. Send us an email at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us and follow us on Twitter. Just check out at @GYS_horrorpod. And you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you're one of these lucky people that has an abundance of money and you like to share some of that wealth, you can make a donation to the show at www.patreon.com/graveyard. All proceeds go to the upkeep of the show, just some administration fees, things like that, because even though the show is free to listen to, it's not free for us to produce. So if you feel generous enough to help us out, you can go make a donation there, and you will get rewarded because we do offer some Patreon-exclusive bonus content. Once a month, we make a Patreon-exclusive episode and load it there, so you can, for only the low donation of $1 a month, it gives you access to all that lovely exclusive content. So go check it out. Of course, we totally understand not everybody has the money to give us money, but you can still help us out a ton. Whether you listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher. We found a bunch of other weird stuff that you can get access to us. Like, I think one's called Castbox or something like that. And then, of course, it's our website on Podbean. Or even if you just follow it, you just follow links on our social media. There's always a way to rate, review, subscribe to us. If you could do that, please do. In the long run, that's what helps us out the most. The more subscribers we have, the better the show gets promoted and the more access we get to other listeners. Whatever way you find our podcast, please keep doing it. Share us on your own social media. share us by word of mouth. If you know somebody that you think would be interested in listening to us two idiots talk about horror movies, let them know about us and where they can find us. And Mike, if people just can't get enough of you, and I mean, why would they? How can anyone ever get enough of you? How can they find out more about what you have to say?
Well, you can hear us on upcoming new episodes of the Playing with Power podcast, which will be returning near the end of February. And you will hear us read Nintendo Power magazines, get guests on the show, talk about amazing tangents, read the letters from the people who wrote into the... I'm just trailing off here. You've heard the show. You've heard me talk about the show. We read Nintendo Power every page. It's fantastic. It's funny. I keep it silly and light. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. And if Nintendo's not your thing, then just stick to hearing us talk horror here.
Yeah, if you're a fan of old Nintendo games, or you had a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day, check it out. You're going to enjoy it. It's a great little piece of nostalgia and pretty friggin' hilarious. So, yeah, make sure you take a look at that. But if that's not your thing, you just want to listen to us talk about horror movies, then you can do it here each and every week. Until next time, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
Please come see us again on The Graveyard Shift. Ha 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 ha!